Norma Jean was born on June 1, 1926 in Los Angeles, California. Her mother, Gladys Pearl Monroe, was mentally disabled, worked as an editor in Hollywood. Gladys fell in love with Charles Gifford, a boss at RPK Pictures, a film company, and became pregnant while working for the company. In 1926, Marilyn was born.
Her mother, Gladys, was not mentally and financially ready to raise a child, but as an infant, Marilyn was stable and happy.
Her mother's job problems forced Marilyn to live with her evangelical Christian adoptive parents, Ida and Albert, for 6 months in the rural California town of Hawthorne.
On weekends, Gladys visited and looked after Marilyn. In the summer of 1933, Gladys took out a loan and bought a small house in Hollywood, where she and 7-year-old Marilyn lived. Marilyn's mother received unknown actors as paying house guests who stayed with the family. In January 1934, Gladys was officially diagnosed with schizophrenia and paranoia, which she had long suffered from.
Marilyn and her mother eventually did not live together for several months, and Gladys was soon admitted to a metropolitan psychiatric hospital. 8-year-old Marilyn was not cared for by her parents, and the state took over as her guardian. Soon after, her mother's friend Grace Garrett took over as her guardian. Unfortunately, Marilyn suffered major emotional wounds from childhood and growing up, and her life for 4 years during this period was unstable and poor. For the first 16 months, she lived with the family of another acquaintance, the John Atkinsons, during which she experienced her first sexual abuse. She was only 8 years old at the time. After the abuse, Marilyn, who was shy, temporarily stuttered and had seizures, and her behavior became more passive and withdrawn. After that, she lived with her mother's friend Grace's husband Orwin, and 2 other family members for a month, during which time Orwin reportedly sexually assaulted her. A month later, Grace took Marilyn to an orphanage in Los Angeles. The orphanage was rated as an exemplary institution, but Marilyn felt abandoned there and did not adapt well. Following the opinion of an orphanage staff member who thought it would be better for Marilyn to live with her family, Grace became Marilyn's former legal guardian in 1936, but did not take Marilyn out of the orphanage until the summer of 1937.
After that, Marilyn stayed at Grace's home, where her second stay lasted only a few months. Grace's husband, Orwin, was caught molesting Marilyn.
On top of that, Marilyn, who had to change her residence, had to move from one family to another for a short period of time among relatives and friends of Grace's living in Compton, then a slum.
The reason Marilyn first wanted to become an actress was because of her childhood experiences. At a foster home, she was told to leave the house, so she often went to the cinema to spend time there, day and night. From 1938, she lived with Anna, Grace's elderly aunt, in another home for several years. Anna enrolled Marilyn in middle school and attended a weekly Christian church service.
During her school days, Marilyn was an average student, but she showed an extraordinary talent for writing, and she wrote several articles for the school newspaper. Marilyn returned to Van Nuys in Los Angeles to live with Grace again in 1941 due to elderly Anna's health problems, and that same year, she began to attending Van Nuys High School. In 1942, Work Matters forced the Grace family to relocate to West Virginia, but California child protection laws prevented Grace from taking Marilyn out of the state. Marilyn had to go back to the orphanage, and as a solution, on June 19th of the same year, she married James Doherty, a 21-year-old airline mechanic who was a senior in high school, a drama club member, and a neighbor. She dropped out of high school and lived a housewife's life. In 1943, when James enlisted in the military, she moved to a house with her husband's parents near the military base in Santa Carolina. In 1944, James was sent to the Pacific Front. His parents moved to their previous home, and Marilyn lived alone in the Santa Carolina home for 2 years.
At that time, it was 1944, the height of World War II, and the United States had implemented the national military system, which was an all-out warfare mode, and most women had to work making military supplies.
So Marilyn worked in the state-run defense industry in Van Nuys. At the end of 1944, Marilyn met David Conover, a fellow photographer. As a member of the US Army, he mainly took pictures of pinup girls and promotional photos.
At this time, Marilyn's first career began as she caught David's eye and started modeling for the first time. At this time, while photos were taken with various concepts, it was nude calendar modeling that got a particularly good response. After receiving a good response from this work, in January 1945, Marilyn quit her industrial job and started modeling professionally at David and his friend's place. After working mainly as a pinup model there, she decided to go independent and signed a contract with a modeling agency the same year.
At this time, many external concepts changed. Marilyn's hair color was blonde when she was born, but her hair changed to dark brown as she passed through adolescence. The agency and she herself chose to dye her hair blonde. Her hair color change was a huge success, she said, as the blonde Marilyn stood out a lot, more than her previous brunette look, and she was very pleased with herself. In addition, the agency decided that Marilyn's appearance was more suitable for a pinup model than a high fashion model, so the advertisements she shot were mainly published in men's magazines. The agency's owner, Emmeline Snively, said Marilyn was often praised as the most ambitious, hardworking model. By early 1946, in the US, she had also been featured on the covers of famous magazines, such as Camera, Pageant, Lap and Pick, and in a total of 33 magazines. With Emilan's strong recommendation, she got the opportunity of the first screen test of the official Hollywood studios in June of the same year. At that time, she tested with several studios. The first was the film company Paramount Pictures, but Marilyn was very nervous at first and failed the interview. After that, she was screen tested by 20th Century Fox executive Ben Ryan, who responded positively, and in August 1946, she signed a 6-month contract. In order to work as an actor, as she had always dreamed, she finally signed a contract with 20th Century Fox on the condition that she studied acting, singing, dancing, and the process of film production during a 6-month probationary period.
At that time, as an apprentice, she received little money from the studio, so she had to work privately as a model for magazines to earn a living. Her stage name was Marilyn Monroe, which she coined from the name of Marilyn Miller, a Broadway star popular in the 1920s and 30s, combined with her mother's maiden name Monroe.
Also in September 1946, she divorced her husband, James, who had opposed her acting career. In 1947, after renewing her contract, she made her screen debut, appearing in minor roles in the movies Dangerous Years and Skuraho.
In addition, in the studio, Monroe learned the basics of acting by attending Actors Laboratory Theater, an acting school that teaches professional techniques. However, the school's acting teacher thought Marilyn was too shy and emotionally unstable, and 20th Century Fox did not extend her contract further after the contract expired.
After the contract was terminated, she had a difficult time, mainly doing small roles in backup dancing in musicals or modeling for a magazine. This difficult period made her decide to become an actor. She wanted to continue studying acting, so she continued attending Actors Lab, the acting school, at her own expense. She did a play called Glamour Preferred, but after a few performances, the play was over. At that point, Marilyn believed parties were as important as acting, and she often visited producers' offices to build connections, became friends with gossip columnists, and entertained influential male guests at the studio, which was also Fox practice. She also became friends and lovers with Joseph Shank, a famous producer at the time, and became close with Henry Cohn, an executive at Columbia Pictures, another Hollywood studio. She learned the basics of acting by working with Natasha Lydes, an acting coach, who served as a mentor and full-time acting instructor until 1955. In 1948, she started working for Columbia Pictures, where she got her first lead role in the low-budget musical Ladies of the Chorus.
She was screen tested for a lead role in another film, but her contract with Columbia was terminated in September 1948. After that, she worked as a model for a while, working as an advertising model for a beer company, and posed as an artistic nude model for John Bungar's calendar shoot. She said she also felt naturally comfortable posing nude or in a bikini for other artists like Earl Moran. While working as a model, she signed a contract with a well-known agency, the William Morris Agency, and became a close partner of the agency's vice president, Johnny Hyde. She was recognized for her talent as an actor when appearing in supporting roles in several films, including the Academy Award-winning All About Eve and The Asphalt Jungle.
Thank you for watching the video. Marilyn Monroe Part 1 provided by History and Current Events. I'm Helena and Mia. Katie, Leah and Tony have contributed so far as narrators. Thank you.